No,
Okay.
just started.
Okay, so it's me, Denny Daniel, at the Spooky Museum of Interesting Things box opening, secret speakeasy.
Spooktacular.
Spooktacular. And we're going to do an actual staff box opening. The only person we're missing is Kid, unfortunately. We'll have to have him do it next time. So I'm going to mix it up like a terrible shell game. First. Excellent. And I'm even doing one myself. This one popped out at me, so I'm going to do that one. Does everyone hear the Mission Impossible theme in the background?
Well.
Now we're going to get all sued for thought crime.
It's more tape.
So mine is open. I'll do mine first.
I got mine open.
Oh, you got yours open.
Yep.
Okay.
Who's
So
on
what did you
first?
open up? I see a very, very tiny pamphlet. What is this?
Can you show the camera?
I will.
It's an accompaniment to a letter.
Oh, I'm looking at the wrong side. This is an advertisement for shoes. The Solar Tip shoe.
Wow.
God knows what in the Sandhill are
Futuristic.
solar tip shoes.
I want one.
But these, I know, but judging by that ad, I totally want one. And there's the back with all the writing. So because my father, oh, and this is.
And I happen to be wearing
Ash,
solar tip shoes now.
clearly. so Ash opened this up, our bartender, for forever, and it's because my dad actually is a shoe designer, and that's why I got these.
Yeah.
So I'm going to show them this. He's in the hospital right now, and I'm going to show him this to cheer him up a little bit. So that's a very cool one, Ash. Thank you very much. And Ash has to scoot to catch a bus. So thanks, Ash. Where's your package? Over there.
What's wrong with your father? You say he's in the hospital.
We'll discuss that later. So what do we got here? Oh, wow. This is really an important film. So our door person, wait, no. But so this is an important film. This is Mickey Mouse, the pilot, but actually this film is Steamboat Willy. Yeah. So this is, and look at how cool that the reel alone is really cool. Pun intended. But Amanda, our door person, projector, tech, and exhibitor and everything. She's brilliant, and she actually opened this one.
This is my favorite short as a kid. My
Really?
favorite Mickey short, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. What are the chances you would
Yeah.
open that of all things? That's really cool. Wow.
Yes, I got it.
Once again, the iron. Okay, so a lesson in proposing.
I'm
That
intrigued.
is so funny. Considering some of the conversations we've had about like insane dating scene in New York.
Yeah.
That is so funny that you opened up a lesson in proposing. So clearly, we have to watch this because we've made so many jokes about this. we have a whole comedy routine we plan on probably
Valentine's
doing
Day.
with this. So this is a 16mm film. Oh, and this is Steve. Who
Hey.
Steve has a fantastic story how he ended up becoming staff in the museum. And I've told this 1,000 times, you probably don't know this. Steve was just showing up here randomly as a person just showing up here randomly and paying to get in and enjoying. One day I was telling one of our helpers, oh my God, I forgot to make the spaghetti, darn. And Steve goes, well, I'll make the spaghetti. And we're like, who's that guy? And I'm like, dude, you like paid to get in. Yeah, but I'll make the spaghetti. And he makes the spaghetti. A month later, he shows up again and goes, I'll make the spaghetti if you want me to make the spaghetti. And I'm like, okay. And he starts making the spaghetti. So every month he shows up, pays to get in, and makes spaghetti for the entire crowd. And then he starts learning how the projectors work. And so now, when I'm running over to do things, he starts rewinding the reels and doing all this other stuff and helping out with the tech stuff. And then one day I walk in, and the girl who's doing the door, Natalie was doing it. So Natalie was doing the door, not Natalie, the Natalie, the Italian Natalie from Queens, who I met at I met her through the girl working in a kosher supermarket in Queens. Go figure. And they said, she wants to volunteer for a museum. And I said, great, I'm a museum. So Natalie, I walk up to the door. Who do I see at the door? Steve, doing the door. And I go, what are you doing? And Natalie went to the bathroom and asked me to watch the door. And he looks at me and goes, meanwhile, I'm supposed to be the boss. This is my museum. I'm in charge. If you went to the Met and somebody who paid for a ticket is all of a sudden doing the box office because the girl at the box office decided to go to the bathroom and said, excuse me, could you do the door for me? They'd fire her. They'd be like, are you out of your mind? I was like, are you okay with this? Because you're like working, like you're being staffed. He goes, are you okay with this? And I'm like, yeah, we're both okay with it. And then one day Natalie looks at me and she goes, Steve, is still paying. And I'm like, he's paying to work at the. I said, he's one of us. He's working. He's doing the door. And that's how we ended up staff here. And we're probably going to do Atlantic City probably in a week or so.
Yes.
So that's Steve's amazing, cool story that probably none of you know. And half the people that end up coming here end up part of the family and have donated items and helped in things and watched the tables. So everyone is really part of the family. I have the coolest job in the world. It's anything but a job. And the best people around me I could ever imagine in the world. So good job, everyone. Yay. Oh, wait, my item. I forgot me.
It's your item.
I'm not important. What did I open? I opened a Suffragette postcard. One of the funny ones this is a joke that I constantly pull with the suffragettes, where, if you give women the vote, clearly the whole house has to fall apart because women are in charge of the house. And if women vote in the 5 minutes it takes to vote, then the child won't eat, the cattle starve, the house will be a disaster, no one will clean the house and all that other stuff. I always wondered how they got away. But then and I love doing this demonstration, even if I have 10 kids or 300, because I always say, why did no one ever come up with the funny line that's obvious? If women shouldn't vote because they're in charge of the house, who's in charge of the whole country? Men. Men are president. Men are in charge of all the corporations. So if the house falls apart if women vote, then if men vote, shouldn't the government fall apart and every major corporation fall apart because they're in charge of that? I'm like, why did no one ever come up with other joke cards saying that? I'm like, that's ridiculous. So the only living thing that should vote are the dogs and cats. Because they're the only things with
At this
nothing
point,
better
it would
to
be
do.
an improvement.
Yeah, Tristan, my cat, totally an improvement. I love Tristan. He would vote very well.
Yeah.
And in fact, I'd vote for Tristan as president. So that is my story, and I'll stick to it. Bye, world.